is the number you can call in and get into conversation. And we got a great conversation right now, brother. Now, about who we got on the line there, brother?
We got the great brother Scott Muhammad coming out of the Tuskegee, Alabama. Brother Scott, you there?
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Well, sir. Speak up just a little bit. Brother Scott, thank you for coming on. We've had you on before, so we want you to give us about a 30-second overview of what you do, and then get us right into the update of what's happening with you now and what you got happening in the future.
Yes. Excuse me. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Brother Naba and Brother James. I co-direct Students for Education and Economic Development, which is known as SEED Inc. And we do a variety of things. We're most known for our Children's Farm School program, where we teach children how to grow their own food organically, sell at local markets, and we open them up young savings accounts so they can buy their own school supplies and clothes. That was a program that evolved out of the farm school program that we were doing in Chicago back with Reverend Bevel in the early 2000s. Excuse me. Yes, please.
Yeah,
Y'all
go
there?
ahead, Brother Scott. Yeah, we're here. Go
Yes,
ahead.
sir.
Keep going.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, aside from that, we have a health navigator program that we do that came out of the COVID crisis. But what we're doing right now that's making a lot of waves is something we call the War on Murder Begins, or the WOMB movement. And this is where we are memorializing all of our young people in our community. And we've gathered artists and we've gathered writers together to help us to do just that. And the results have been phenomenal. We dropped our murder rate over 90% in less than a year. We went from 10 murders in 9 months, 2 murders in 15. So we're very excited about the results.
Wait, Brother Scott, hold on. Slow down. I want you to repeat that again and tell me a little bit about how that happened. Repeat the numbers again, and then tell us about how it happened.
Yes, sir. Last year, we had the most murders in the history of Tuskegee. We had more murders in the first 9 months of the year than any full year on record. So we had 10 murders in the first 9 months. In the 10th month, we launched what we call a grand unveiling, which is a project of our Atonement Initiative, our WOMB movement, our War on Murder Begins. And the murders just stopped. And we did not have another murder until May of 2024, May 10th. And that was a result of a young man who didn't have his medication. You know, he shot his next door neighbor who was his friend. And then we went another stretch. We didn't have another murder after that till October 28th. And that was 2 young men were fighting around the lake, and the one who was losing shot the other one in the back. But we dropped our murder rate over 90%. It was something that we aimed to do. It was very deliberate and methodical. And we believe that any city can use this methodology to drop their murder rate and bring the participants of that city together.
So talk to us, Brother Scott, about you're in Tuskegee, Alabama. Talk to us about this process. How does it work, and what did you all do in reality to make it work?
Well, we went where the problem was the worst. We started in the worst project in our city, the project that had the most amount of shooting, the most amount of murders. About a third of the murders over the last 20 years took place in the housing projects called Ridgewood in Tuskegee. And we started there. The way we started was simply service among the children. We started a farm school project. So we got the young people involved in growing food and selling food at the farmers market. When murders happened in the neighborhood, then we talked to the young people, because they were all affected. They would be talking about it. So we didn't want to just, that's horrible, man. Now let's plant the tomatoes over there and get these peppers over here. It was like, well, what are we going to do about it? Because if we don't do nothing about it, nobody's going to do anything about it. Mm-hmm. And if they wanted to do something about it. So my wife and I began, what in the nation we would call our Ministry of Information work. We started researching, pulling the demographics of all the murder victims in the city over the past 20 years. Then we pulled what we would call our spiritual ministry, our 10th ministry, together. And we determined what should be the theme or what should be the base, the fundamental push of the project, which we determined to be atonement, where we as men, we as mothers and fathers had to atone for allowing our community to get out of hand, for allowing us to get to this condition. And as we began to find the families, we began to meet with the families. That would be Health and Human Services. Every Saturday we meet with the families and we talk and, we get to know them. They tell their stories. We like grief counseling, so on and so forth, and we determined that the parents would come and plant fruit trees around the children's garden in the name of their loved ones. Now, when we did that, that was very powerful, and that began bringing people back together. And what we did was we created a little food oasis and a project that was food insecure, right? So now we got organic apples and pears growing in the middle of the project, right? Then we had COVID hit. That slowed everything down. Another part of it is who controls the narrative. As we look at world events, we see the power of controlling the narrative. We see the power of propaganda. When me and Erica went to start looking for, the murder victims, we found all of the newspapers were insufficient. None of them gave us the information we needed to find the families. All of them had the same 3 lines. Victim identified, so-and-so found on such and such street. We don't know who did it. If you know, call us back. So we were like, well, no, we ain't going to let that stand. We're going to rewrite all of these murder articles. And what ended up happening, since I couldn't teach people how to rewrite the murder articles, but we had children that could, that we could teach, we reached out to the National Association of Black Journalists. We called everybody we could think of, and the only people to answer our plea was the final call. So I got to celebrate. I got to shout out. I got to thank you, Brother Naba and Brother James, for bringing the whole final call. Staff, all of the writers, skilled writers that came and spent a year teaching these young people and lay people how to interview the parents and how to write a 1-page life affirmation. It was transformative for the parents, and you can see it. We're on Facebook, see Inc. You just go look at the unveiling and look at the parents when we read the story of their child. They come there to this event, and everybody sits in the event that we pull together, and they listen to each other's story. People from the city come, and they listen to us read about a young man who might have been killed in 2006. But we're reading his story from his mother. So now it's an actual person. It's not just a victim identified. That's that's contemptuously dismissive. But now you're reading about Demetrius. You're reading about Davion. You're reading about Martricia. You're reading about actual people. And what I really loved about it, and Brother James, I just can't say enough about my big brother. The parents will call me because they be down, right? They depressed, they hurting, but they will call me like uptone and be like, "Man, do you know he asked me when my baby took his first step?" And the parent would go from being down to smiling on the phone call, thinking about when her son took his first step. He asked me what his favorite food was. He asked me, And pretty soon now they talking about the best memories of their child. And they smiling. And then you come to the community and you bring all that good energy to a room, and it just light up. And it changed the relationships, man. It's militarily, you know, it's profound and it's power. Something simple as giving our children the power to control their own narrative and putting it back in their hands. That's where the real world is, you know, where they are constructing their narrative. They can live there. They ain't got to live in these other people's ideas, you know. So that part, and the other thing, of course, after we read the story, there's a veil, and the parents lift the veil, and under the veil is a portrait painted by a fine artist from somewhere around the world. I think this year we had 8 portraits that came in from Nigeria, hyper-realistic ballpoint pen art and chalk and pencil art that young people in Nigeria did, you know, and I was very thankful to get that, because I know on social media right now it's real sexy to bash people from Africa and from the Caribbean that say they hate us and all this. Those brothers and sisters over there showed us nothing but love. It cost $150 to send a sheet of paper from Nigeria to America. You know what I'm saying? $150. You know, and if you put 2 of them in there, it'll give you a break. It's $300 to send 2 pieces of paper with the ballpoint pen art, and we had like 8 of them come through. You know what I'm saying? And it was all love. Shout out to Rob Owens. I think we unveiled his this weekend. He did a portrait of a girl named Quenisha Robinson, who was 7 months pregnant when she was murdered, and had I think 2 or 3 girls that she left behind. You know, when one of the hardest things, you know, when I'm talking to the parents, they tell me when they open up, because I gotta, you know, we search for these people, right? They not just, you know, accessible. We got to do research. We go on the radio. We go on local TV. We beat the streets. We go door to door. And when the parents open up, they all tell me about the moment when they got that call and had to go down to the station and pull that sheet back and identify their loved one. And it's a hell of a thing when some poor black mother is at work, you know, trying to make it happen, stressed out, bills collecting, and she get a call to come down to the station and identify her son. And they pull that sheet back. She can't argue with nobody. She can't see the manager. That's just what it is, and she got to get with it in that moment. And that burns the image in their mind. One girl told me how there was so many bullet holes in her son's body, she ain't know what to do. She stuck her finger in one of the holes. Right? It's the trauma is unreal. But when they come to this event and they pull that sheet up, instead of being forced to say goodbye, they stay in front of the community. The community is there to celebrate their loved one, and they saying welcome back. And you should see how these images jump off the page, and it floods. You know how when you turn on your television and it bark across the station, oh, we had 30 shootings and 8 people died, including a 2-year-old, and you get that feeling that just pressed down on you. This is the complete opposite. When they lift that veil up, and like we had Bianca Cannon, 26 years old, her 4-year-old was shot. Bullet come through the house and hit him while he looking at his tablet. When she comes there and everybody is supporting her and she lifts that veil up and them tears explode, that's her releasing, man. It's joy when she see that image. It replaced that really ugly image of her child underneath a sheet. Now it's a veil. It changed the whole dynamic. and it flooded the city with a very powerful energy. So all of us that were there, we felt something lift. You could feel it lift, the weight lift off the city. It was like the curse lifted. So when you read that scripture in Malachi, where it say that God would smite the earth with a curse if the hearts of the fathers didn't turn back to the children and the hearts of the children didn't turn back to the fathers. Well, the opposite of that is when you turn the hearts towards one another, the curse lifts. And that's what we experienced. It was powerful weekend.
Yeah. Man, brother.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question, brother? This is Brother BJ, Brother Scott.
Yes,
man,
sir.
Brother, this is such an amazing story, brother. Oh my God, brother. What did the city of Tuskegee, say to you? What did the mayor and all the city council and all the government officials, did they give you credit? Well, we know all credit goes to Allah, but I'm just saying, what did they say in response to what you had done?
Nothing. They didn't say anything.
Wow.
You know, so there are layers to this project. And as you work, you begin to see why murder spreads in the city like it spread. Everybody would like the people who may not be paying full attention or may not see everything to think that the whole problem is young black boys being savage and bloodthirsty, and that's not true. This is an institutional failure. That's one of the reasons why to write. In fact, when one of the first people that Eric and I looked for was a young man named Terrell Dumas, and he had gotten shot in the chest. Police found him, unresponsive, victim identified. But with Terrell, they added 2 paragraphs right after we don't know who did it. They said, well, you know, when he was in middle school, he had a joint, and when he was in high school, he had a gun. And it was like, well, what did that actually add to the story? Right? Why did you put that in there? It's because they wanted to say, well, he was responsible for his own death. He brought it on himself. Yeah. What they did not say was that this 26-year-old boy, young man, I beg your pardon, was born in a persistent poverty community. The designation persistent poverty county means that your county, half of it, has been under the poverty line for the last 30-plus years. That means that boy was born, conceived, raised, and went to school in a persistent poverty county. Then you have to ask, what factors make up persistent poverty, and how do those bear on the development of the children in that county, right? But none of those things were included in the article as factors, as having any relevance in why this young man lost his life. They're not searching for the why like that. But that's for us to do, So I'm saying all that to say that, no, the county, the city, last year, I will say, they gave us some money. They gave us, I think, $3,000 or $4,000 to help. And, we were saying, well, y'all, the food, y'all can, but they gave us $4,000, and we said all praise is due to Allah, and we dropped the murder rate, 90%.
Wow.
But we don't really get a lot of help. Like I said, not only when we reached out to the National Association of Black Journalists, which we did not get a response, but the schools. We wrote the schools for over a year saying, hey, send us students. We got professional black journalists that will train any child you send us for free. We're going to publish them. They ain't send me one student, an entire school district. And I'm saying everybody from 2 superintendents to the principals of the schools, to individual teachers, to the administrators of student affairs, nobody. We went to the university, did the same thing. Nobody. The response to this crisis is criminal, but the criminality is put on the victim of the criminality. So our children are the victims of non-responsiveness and criminal behavior by all of the administrators, but they're made to bear the weight of the crime themselves. It's way out.
Yes, can I'll just add.
Go ahead, brother.
I'll just add that I've participated in this great project. Brother Scott is a social scientist. He's a genius. He and his wonderful wife, they do some great work. And I think, BJ, you kind of get the magnitude of how this works. But it's a program. It's a system. We were talking about before, Scott, you came on. We're talking about having plans to move our people forward. Here's a plan that is comprehensive of many things that lend to each part of it, lends to the other part, from the Atonement Garden to the fortress, to the writing, to the gathering. I mean, I was there for the first one. He just had a second one, and I'm not going to take this time because I know it's his time. But I didn't know what to expect. But
yes, sir.
It was a line of people outside the door waiting to get in. And I was just blown away. It was a capacity crowd. I think it held about 200. And as he said, when you lifted the veil, it kind of replaced that image that they had in the morgue. And people just broke down. And, I mean, it to me, it's a fantastic program. I think, it does need the support that it didn't necessarily get in Tuskegee, and I'm sure he's going to keep pushing for that.
Oh, yes, sir. And, you, brother, have every right to take as much time as anybody else. But, the part that gets the most attention tends to be the portraits. It's sexy, but it's the writing that actually changes the narrative.
Yeah.
So that part, man, cannot be overstated. My big difficulty, as the person like coordinating all of these various parts, is figuring out, I think we had 10 writers, 15 writers, something like that. I don't know how many writers.
Height, we had about 15 at the height. As 15 articles, but yeah, maybe about 10 writers. Yeah.
Okay, so you had 10 writers who were interviewing multiple parents and constructing these beautiful stories. I got to shout out my little sister, Fatia. She did a piece. What was it called, Erica? Cinnamon buns. Chocolate milk and leather pants.
Yeah.
And about a young man that was murdered named Presley Bell. And it was so much spirit and personality. And I was reading it, and the tears were just streaming down his mother's face. But it wasn't grief tears. It was release tears. It was tears of joy, because everybody was there celebrating her son. You know what I mean? Like, before we came, I asked her, has anybody talked to you about her son? Her son was murdered in 2006. He was a star basketball player. She said, nobody's talked to me about my son. Nobody in the city. Right? So now her son is the center of all the attention in the room, with everybody paying as much attention to him as she is. That's called having enlightened witnesses. That in and of itself produces a healing. But we don't stop there. It's just layers and layers of healing. And so it would be one thing if we were just dealing with 10 individual writers, several of whom, the core of whom was the Final Call staff. Right? All of these are dynamic and interesting people who deserve time for what they did. You got to talk about this. But then I think we had 60 artists, maybe between 55 and 60 fine artists from all over the world. Yeah. We had textile artists who created weaving.
We had Brother Kerry from Chicago.
Man, Brother Kerry in Chicago is a god. He took an image of a boy. It was a newspaper image that was flat and it was dark. And Brother Kerry still pulled and lifted this young man out. And the young man had been through some things. The thing that got Kerry about that portrait is the young man, they found him over a period, I think, of about 3 days between two counties, chopped into pieces. His son lived, I think, 3 doors down from me and used to come to my program. So it was like I saw one day, I saw like a vision. I was standing behind him, pointing up at a portrait with the city behind me, telling him, man, you come from greatness. And I wanted to work for that because to try to tell some little black boy, oh, yeah, you great, and it's just you and him, you know, yeah, all right, man. But when you got 200 people in the room and cameras are popping and flashes is popping and people are talking about your daddy, and you point up and somebody then created this beautiful work of art, some great artist, and you say you come from greatness, he believes you then. He believes you then. You have just changed the trajectory of that child's life.
That's right.
When the young father is murdered, you know, and I had to like really get on the mothers about this. I'm talking to these moms and they're, well, Mr. Muhammad, my son wasn't an angel. You know, I said, wait, stop. Neither was the police officer working the case an angel. Okay?
That's right.
The judge that heard his case, he wasn't no angel. The lawyer that you had to pay some money, he definitely ain't no angel. I can't even tell you that your son wasn't an angel. How you know?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
He might be here to do just what he did. But today, look how many people is here on his behalf. He just brought a city together. He making something happen. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I want to ask you a question, bro. What does this do to embolden your faith in God dealing with our people? Like you said something earlier in the conversation that you could just feel that the curse was lifting off the city. It was the move of God in the city. What did this do for your faith in working with our people? Because a lot of people that have a lot of murder rates in their cities, they don't think that nothing can change.
Well, it can't if you don't try.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You know, you can't sit and look at something that you ain't did something about and say ain't nothing be done about it. You have to get up and do it. Yeah. This project has been transformative in a lot of ways. It has given everybody that has talked to me who have worked with this project have shared at least one very profound experience. But if I were to share my experience, what I would say is it shows me how small I am. You know, sometimes when I'm doing stuff like this and people are seeing the results, people will, you know, kind of blow air into your balloon, not meaning no harm, but they're going to blow some air in your balloon. But then I'll meet a 26-year-old mother whose 3-year-old was kidnapped, sexually abused, drugged, raped, murdered, strangled, found decomposing in the garbage can. And she's expounding on her faith. And she's giving strength to others around her. April Thomas lost Camille Cupcake McKinney like that. And the internet jumped on this child. They were accusing her of being complicit. Oh, you got a drug debt. And it didn't crush that woman. When I met her, I knew I was about ankle high to that young woman. Like, spiritually, knowing God, I got children, man. I can't say that I would have responded with anywhere near the amount of dignity that she responded.
And I had to take my hats off to just about every single mom and dad that I've met on this project. These are giants. The depression, the pain has made them giant. And when I meet them, I'm always looking up to them, man. Like, oh, my God, what can I do to serve? Because I'm in an atonement space. I know I have a contribution to the loss of their child.
Yeah.
Right. You feel me? That's
Brother BJ.
A real thing.
Yeah. Brother BJ. Brother Scott, he's a real scholar, and he's real proficient at the atonement process. But I'm going to tell you, man, and when I went down, this has been a year ago, I guess, whenever the last one was. I did videos on my phone of him, but there's one video, Scott, that you did that I listen to occasionally because it was so, it touches me to hear it, and I think at some point, if you haven't already done it, share it on the internet. But we were at the Atonement Garden, and he really didn't explain it that as much as he should have. But that Atonement Garden is a place where they plant trees in the name of the victim, and the family members are there, and ultimately those trees will interconnect. They're planted in a distance where at some point they'll interconnect and enclose an area where it's other plants and stuff. It's a garden. But he did it was about a 10-minute talk outside while they were getting ready to plant on grief. And it was, it's just simple. He was just in his T-shirt talking to these mothers about grief and letting grief go, etc. And to me, man, like I said, and I'm not lying when I say it, every now and then I just go back and I listen to it because it was like a message that hit my heart. And I'm sure it hit every family member's heart that was there. And it was kind of, it was a scientific breakdown about grief and letting it go. So I just wanted to say that because I thought, it was really powerful to me.
Praise
man, that's beautiful, man.
I'm going to go look for it.
Yeah, man. He's out there out in the garden. Yes, sir.
Put that out, brother. Repost that so we can see that. Brother Scott, all right, we got somebody on the line, brother, for you. All right, here on WVON 1690, Scott Muhammad. He has an organization called WOMB, War Against Murder Begins. We got a sister on the line on 1690 WVON Chicago. How you doing tonight, sister?
Assalamualaikum. I'm doing great because I was able to hear the discussion tonight. I am so touched, and not just touched, but elated and grateful. I wanted to say to Brother Scott, thank you, and to you, your wife, to everyone who assisted you in this program, from the farm school, and especially with the murder rate decrease. But one of the things that I was thinking about, and you spoke to, the atonement process and everything, and I was texting Brother Nabar because I couldn't get on the line to get in the queue, and I was saying to him, Sister Aisha had told us if we had practiced atonement more, we would need less auditing. And the other thing, and that brought to mind when you was talking about the beautiful articles that these children wrote and how it touched those families and helped relieve their grief. It was because the things that they were discussing with the parent and allowing the parent to discuss, it was like straight wiring them. That's why they got the relief.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think that is just so profound that, that you, that you were able to utilize and to utilize what we have in the nation, the people at the Final Call newspaper. We thank them so much for coming there and sharing their profession and their skills with those children, which will make future writers for the Final Call newspaper, hopefully in other papers, where they will learn to write truth And I just wanted to thank you all here for having these discussions. But thank you, Brother Scott, for that work that you all are doing there in Tuskegee. I thank Allah, and I will keep you all in my prayers. And maybe if you all are going to do some training sometime, we can find out how to get it done in our cities. I mean, you know, always somebody has to take the lead. A lot of them give us all the same gifts. So if you're willing to share, I'm sure there are people here. I live in Washington, D.C., Martha number 4. We need as much help with our youth being murdered here.
Yeah.
And I just think it's such a beautiful program. Thank you. I don't want to continue to hold you up, but I couldn't let it go by not trying to thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, sister. Thank you.
And
you.
I got to shout out Mosque number 4, Brother Jabril Malik, who rendered a portrait of Cannon Jones. I got to shout out Sister Letitia Muhammad, who rendered a beautiful portrait of Demetrius Renfro and his mother. And I got to shout out Sister Holiday Muhammad, Brother Jabril's wife now. They got married, I believe, right after they worked on this project with us. She rendered Tori, what's Tori's last? T.O. Robinson, Corey Robinson. Beautiful portrait. And his mother came and brought his sons, and his sons are like 2 and 3, or maybe 3 and 8, I think, something like that. And the little boy looked up and said, "That's my daddy." And started saying, "Why daddy looking like that?" You know, I mean, it was just, it go beyond words. And so I'm very thankful the holiday rendered that. I got to shout out Brother Anthony Seven Muhammad, who rendered Joshua Thompson and his daughter Jalea, and his sister came. And that if you watch, it's like a 5-hour program on our Facebook page. It's Seed Inc., Students for Education and Economic Development. The project or the program is called The War on Murder Begins, or The Wound. Go check it out. You will see these beautiful works of art. You'll hear explanation. Like I said, that one of the most difficult tasks I have is trying to create the space to recognize the work of the artist, the work of the writer, the parent, the person that we lost, you know, while at the same time sharing atonement. And you know what? That was on Saturday. On Sunday, we had a full day of Dianetics. We had Dianetic artists travel from around the country to Tuskegee. They spent the whole day. We did 2 shifts, 1 shift in the morning, 1 shift at night. And we got the pictures so that you can see these mothers came in there one way and left looking 10 and 15 years younger. You got to see the pictures. Got to see.
Wow, brother.
They were that day, y'all. And you know what? I felt it lift off me personally. And with that, let me do this, because I would not be right. I got to shout out the Seed team, who traveled on their own dime from around the country to meet up in Tuskegee and create this space for all of the Tuskegee families over that weekend. So, shout out to just our whole team, Brother Tim and Arthur and Virginia and Aaron from Virginia and Sister Tracy from Ohio, Sister Laverne and Sister Patricia, Sister Latrice. We just our whole team, man. It was just, they worked. I mean, and Brother James, when he came down, the city didn't do right by us. So, we were supposed to be able to hang our portraits on the wall on City Hall.
Yeah.
The day that we got there, they told us that we couldn't. That we had to find other means. So we were up all night the night before the event, building walls to hang these portraits. And then we had to literally rush home, shower, change, turn back around, and come and host the multi-hour event.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Brother Warren too, Brother Scott.
Oh, shout out, Brother
Warren. Yeah.
This year, I got y'all. This year, if you go and watch it, it was so much smoother than last year. A young brother named Amir Muhammad, whose dad, Brother Christopher, one of the owners of the Blue Seas restaurant, and my son Jihad, they laid out. Really, Amir laid out. He runs the local TV station here. He laid out a production design for us. And it just made everything smooth. Jihad worked the B-roll camera, and, I mean, they just hooked it up. So God was there. But it's exciting because it was a group operation. It wasn't no one-man show. It was a group operation. Everybody, doing every little thing that needed to be done. There was no complaining. It was all love. And I think that it was absolutely the best way, the most blessed way any man could close his year out, and any man could be beginning the new year having done what we did over the weekend. So shout out to the Seed team.
Wow. We got Brother Barney. Brother Barney is on the line, wants to talk to our brother Scott Muhammad from the organization called WOMB. His brother is out of Tuskegee, Alabama, and he worked the teachings, man, and got the murder rate down. Brother Barney, go ahead and talk to our brother.
Assalamu alaikum, Brother Scott.
Wa alaikum salam, big brother Barney.
Oh, my brother. And I want you to give a greetings to the wizard behind the curtain, Sister Erica Muhammad.
That's right. That's right.
They'll be pulling the strings. So you send that down a shout out. And I think at some point, brothers, we really need a story on the life and times of Brother Scott. I just want to put out for the nation to know that the minister backs this brother. Ever since 2013, the minister personally backs this brother. I'm saying that again. The minister backs this brother.
Yes, sir.
So a lot of people and the believers around the country may be in some feelings, but I'm going to let them know the minister backs this brother, and whoever the minister binds on earth, he binds in heaven.
Right.
Come on.
So they should be very careful on how they handle this brother. He is a friend of the minister, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I have to say that because I know that we in the nation, we didn't hear the minister's statement that he gave in 2013 in Tuskegee. Brother Scott and Seed invited the minister down for 4 days, planned the whole session. And the minister heard the presentation, and he said that was the best response to the program of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The proper, that was the proper response to the program of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And so, and he admonished the nation, the whole nation to get and put the whole backing of the nation behind him. And I just want them to know that the minister has ordered the whole nation to back this brother. And we hear and obey. So I just wanted to get that out, Brother Scott, so that Allah will bless us to be in compliance.
Yes, sir.
Praise God. Brother James, thank you. And
thank you.
We want to thank you for all that you've done. And don't forget Brother James 41X was down there with those
comments. Oh, yeah. That's right. That's right.
We want to put a shout out to that brother, too. And thank Allah for it, Brother Scott. We seen that brother when he started as a little younger. And he's grown into a God, man. So we thank Allah.
Go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. May Allah bless you.
Alaikum salam. Thank you, Brother Barney.
Yes, sir.
Brother Scott, you a giant, brother. You a giant, brother. I mean, I'm so impressed, brother. I thank God for you because that's inspiring because everybody in all the cities needs to use what you did as a blueprint.
Exactly.
And this can't be done. This can't. There's somebody out there that believes like you believe. They just haven't made a move yet. What would you tell brothers and sisters, brother BJ?
We're going to have to let Brother Scott go because we're coming into the 11 o'clock hour. But Brother Scott, how can people reach you? How can they follow you? How can they support you?
Yes, sir. We're called Seed Inc. Students for Education and Economic Development. That's the name of our organization. You can find us on www.seedincorporated.com. Or you can drop us a line on our Facebook page, Seed Inc. You can drop us a line on Twitter. Instagram is Elevated Gardens. Please drop us a line. We want people to get involved. We will show you exactly how to do what we're doing. We were trained by the Reverend James Luther Bevel on how to do it scientifically. It will work. You will get the same outcome. We got it. It don't depend on my personality. It depends on the just working the processes correctly. And if you do that, you get the same outcome. So that's the whole of it. Thank you so much, Brother Naba, for inviting us back. And Brother BJ and Brother James, we really appreciate y'all. And when we do our third one, because we only got halfway through. We had so many portraits. We're going to do a third one where we give out the rest of the portraits. We got to have y'all down so that you can read these affirmations and properly represent the writers.
Yes, sir. Praise God, brother. Thank you, Brother Scott, man. We love you, brother. We love you so much, man.